Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it is time to have a look at the bi-weekly authentic decals which have come to the game. In this video we're going to talk about how to get them in the most efficient way, or at least the way I'm going to be doing it the most efficient way, and also the decals themselves and some kind of extra information. So something you might know, and kind of is not really a key to looking to the future, but it can give you at least a look into what's going to happen next, is the timing of authentic decals. And the reason for this is because if you've ever seen events, such as events which give you decals, whether it's like the Operation Summer event, the Sea Voyage event, the Festive event, anything that is tied in and has something like in the Sea Voyage event where it had like the shark teeth for decals, what you'll find is they become, or they overtake, the authentic decals for that period of time. So normally you get decals, or the authentic decals, bi-weekly, so every 14 days. This time it's been increased to 20 days. And what this tells me is, at least, you know, looking at intuition and looking at what's happened in the past, that the Operation Summer event is probably going to come, you know, after the 25th, or on the 25th, going forward for about a month. Because as I said, you know, the decals from that specific event take over the authentic decals for that period, so you're not double dipping in that period. So it may be worth looking for the 25th or 26th of July, which is normally when the Operation Summer starts, to find it's starting this year. It's going to be interesting to see what vehicles are on offer, but if I'm completely wrong, then I'm completely wrong. Understand, I am just kind of using some of the experiences that I've seen in the past events, and it may change this time, but I'm just trying to make a prediction, you know. Anyway, let's get on to the decals themselves. The first one is the Dragon Emblem of the 13th Tank Battalion for Japan. It's 200 GE, so you can't grind this out, you can only buy it. It is a very happy chappy, as you can see here. Very happy little dragon, and obviously it's a PNG, so you can kind of fit it on anything. Then you've got the emblem of the, I apologize Italians, Pozzuoli del Friuli Regiment of Italy. You have to play 3 battles and achieve first place in the team whilst driving Italian ground vehicles. Then you have the Tiger Emblem of the 54th Stormo CTRA of 1941. This is destroy 30 or 15 for RB and SB enemy vehicles while flying Italian aircraft. You can see that this is another derp Tiger, so there'll be many people who want this one, and it's probably the easiest to get, so if you don't have time to get the other ones, make sure to get your own derpy Tiger. Then we've got the Snake Emblem of the 1st Squadron GC 1 or a 3rd or 1-3 FAF 1940. You have to play 3 battles and achieve a score of at least 2,000 while flying French aircraft, or purchase for 200 GE, so you can buy this one if you want. These are the 2 you're not able to. Then the last one is the emblem of the 276th Motorized Rifle Regiment of the Russian Federation, and you have to destroy 100 or 50 in RB and SB enemy vehicles while driving Soviet ground vehicles, or purchase for 200 GE. And it also talks about how the old decals from last time have been moved to their respective places, and also the decals have been made by Colin Muir and Jed or Yej Ortiz, which is Charlie Foxtrot and Fenris. So I want to thank you guys for making these decals, and of course there's some wonderful pictures showing off the decals themselves. This one looks absolutely wonderful. Look at the detail that is on this decal. The decals on this, you know, authentic decal just get better and better and better. The contrast keeps getting higher, they pop out a hell of a lot more, and for me that is just wonderful, especially when we, you know, look at the derpy dragon and of course the derpy tiger itself, which looks absolutely wonderful. So yeah, if you want to know where to see these in game, or where to track them, there are a few places, so let's show you them. The first one, if you go to customization and then you click on your decals, you can find them under the week's latest tab at the bottom. Make sure that you actually have this unchecked, because I realized if you have this checked, it doesn't show the ones that you don't have, it only shows the ones that you do have. So if you uncheck this, it will show you all the other ones, making sure that you know what's going on. So you can check them there. you can also go to your name at the top, click Achievements, and also go to the Decals drop list and then Week's Latest. They'll be at the top that you can see here, so you can actually add them to your favorites, which I'll show you in a second. So, and also you can click Decals and Week's Latest, and they are all in here. So if you want easy access to them without having to click a bunch of stuff, the basic way to do it is to go to your name, click Achievements, go to the Decals area, then Week's Latest, and then find the ones that you're working on, not the old ones that you can see here, but the newer ones, and then just click Add to Favorites, or click this little button that you see here. What this will do is now you can see that I have all 4 which are available clicked. You can just go to this little button here, Favorite Achievements, which is under the crew selection stuff on the left hand side, and as you can see it will just list them for you. And then I've got an extra one which is just a random one I've had for a few years now, which I probably should finish, and it's the Nemensky one, which gives you a decal for the T-44. But this just makes it like ease of access for you. Whenever you're doing specific achievements, it is worth just putting the favorited ones here so you can keep track of them and not have to like go through a ton of stuff, you know, while you're doing it. So we're going to go through each of these. Obviously the dragon one you just have to buy. You can't grind it out. Obviously I understand why they do this. You know, it's only 200 GE, so it's not a lot of GE. I would say it's always worth picking them up, but then again, I really enjoy the decals that they have on offer. The first one that we see here is the emblem of the 276th Motorized Rifle Regiment. This is the one where you basically need 100 kills in Soviet vehicles, and as I use them in Tank RB, then pretty much you just play whatever you want. This is one of those ones that you'll get over time without having to try too much. It will be one of the ones where you'll just unlock by playing Soviet vehicles. Just make sure you use rank 2 or above. There are a ton of options you can go for with this. If you want the most efficient one, I mean, you basically either go for the 3-7 lineup, which is the 2 T-34s, the 1941, 1942 KV-1L11, or you do the 4-3, the KV-1ZIS-5, T-34-57, and the ASU-57. And this little beauty here, the 1943 Premium, is actually getting brought down to 4.3, so when that gets changed, you know, you can bring that into the lineup too. These are incredibly efficient, low tier ones. You could even throw in the KV2 if you want to have a bit of fun, but to be honest, you know, you don't really need it. If you want another BR, 5.7 is solid, you know, T-3485, T-3485 D5T, IS-2 is always fun, but because it's not one where you have to focus on getting first place or getting an amount of score, it's just one you're going to do over time. So use it if you want to grind out some vehicles that you haven't played that much, or maybe you need to mod out. Like there is a few vehicles here on the tank destroyer line which I haven't really touched that much, like the SU-152. You can see I'm getting there. There's a few things left, but I haven't touched it in a while. Or the SU-85, which is going down in BR pretty soon. Might be worth playing them, but then again, it is quite a tough line to play, so maybe just stick to like the mediums and, you know, spade some of them out. My ASU 57 57 needs a little bit of a go out, so I would use this decal to spade stuff that you haven't spaded before, or maybe if new modifications have been added to stuff, such as the KV-1S, now it's got its smoke shell, and just use it like that, so, you know, you don't either have to touch vehicles again, or if you need to touch them later on, they will be spaded, or just play normally. You know, I've been playing the T-62 and the BMP-2 and stuff like the Object 906, so yeah, just play them together and just do it like that. I just like the 4-3 lineup because you can run the Yak-9T and of course the PE-8 with the big bomb. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, just play what you want. The most efficient way of doing it is 4-3, but you just have fun with that one. You don't have to work towards anything. The next one is the easiest out of the decals, so since we play aerialistic, 15 kills is all you need in Italian aircraft. I have sung the praises of Italian aircraft for a very long time, and it's for a very good reason. All of their fighters are incredibly good. The only one that I would say outdoes it is probably Japan in my estimations. Like if you look at the majority of my stats here. Basically, you can see that I haven't used some of them that too much, but all of them have positive KDs. I don't think I have a single one here that has a negative KD. The only one is, of course, the P108A Series 2, and we can all understand why that is. Everything else has a positive KD, even using them in, even using them in ground realistic quite a lot. So yeah, it's just they're all really easy things to use. They have really good mixtures of climb rate, maneuverability, good dive behind them, good guns. They don't really have a negative. The only negative they have is when you come up against a fighter which is incredibly good at one specific thing, and since these planes are more like jack of all trades, they're going to be outdone in specific circumstances, against other machines, like something like a P-47 if it drags you up, or a P-38 if it drags you up against like a C-205N2, it's going to beat you in the high altitude game. It's as simple as that. But most of the time you don't have to do that, since the majority of people won't do that, so you just got to watch out for those scenarios. Also, you should have a pretty good win rate with a lot of these, just because you'll be playing alongside. All of mine are plus or positive 50, apart from my F-84, because I've been using it in ground, and ground's a separate story for the Italians. But yeah, it's one of those things where it should be very easy if you just play this line. You can play any of them. My personal picks are the C-202, very good aircraft, great trainer. If you have any mates who are new to the game, or you're new to the game yourself, the C-202 is wonderful. It's a great mixture between the art of energy fighting, boom and zooming, and also turn fighting. All of them are things that this is really good at, and also it gives you a lot of ability to kind of make up for mistakes if you ever make them. It doesn't burn a lot of energy doing stuff. It has pretty good guns, but not the best guns, so you do have to focus on killing things. Overall, it's a great little fighter, and one of the first ones that I encountered in the German tree that I really enjoyed. And it also has, as you can see, a tricolor Luftwaffe skin in the German tree. It would be nice if this got transported over to the Italian one at some point. But yeah, just play any of them. You'll have a ton of fun with any of them. And if you haven't played Italy before, I strongly suggest playing this line here for some wonderful stuff. And 15 kills you can knock out in a day. You have this for 20 days, so just spend like a day or two, get squadded up with some people, play some of the Italians, have some fun, and it's only 15 kills. If you do well, and let's say you get 3 kills a match, which is pretty good, that's only 5 matches. That's, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours? So yeah, just play like that. Then we get into the 2 harder ones. The 2 harder ones are the Snake Emblem and the Pozzuolo del Friuli. I'm sorry. But the Snake Emblem is get 2,000 mission score in 3 missions while using French rank 2 to 7 aircraft. So this is an interesting one, and it depends on your approach for it. So my approach is going to be twofold, and it really depends on how well the first approach goes. The 2,000 points idea, so that's around about, in aerialistic, 3 air kills, 2.5 or maybe 2 kills and a bunch of assists. And something like a VG-33C1, even a 2.7, is able to do that quite handsomely. Doesn't have a lot of Hispano, but has really good flight characteristics, and also has a ton of ammo for the 7.5s. So even though you're not doing a massive amount of damage, you can get a lot of assists, you can get a lot of crits with it, and it's one of those planes that can get you in an offensive position as long as you let it. And that, to me, is much more better for you than stuff like firepower. Like the HE-100 and the BF-109E1 show these perfectly. That's why they're both going up in BR. They are great machines at going on the offensive. Even if they don't have the firepower to back it up, you can still do really well in them. Same with the VG33C. So that would be the first way of looking at it. You know, pick a fighter that you are very confident in and aim for those like 2 kills and a bunch of assists, or 3 kills, or 2 kills and if you win the battle, or close to winning the battle, go knock off some AI ground targets, and that will get you your 2000. The other fighters I would also recommend to do this method: the P63C5, one of the best fighters in this line, the F4U7. A lot of people just see it as a ground attacker because of the fact that it has access to all of those snebs. You know, all of these rockets here, and it is incredibly good in ground attack, but it's also incredibly good in the air. One of the things that I looked at after flying this thing, because I thought I was having a pretty tough time in it, I'm still pretty, you know, positive in it. 22 kills, 14 deaths, and for a plane that isn't, you know, fully spaded, I would say that's pretty good. The only one which you can see that I've overly struggled in is the AD4, and that's because, well, it's an AD4. I'm much more preferred on the ground game there instead of the air game. So the first approach is, as I said, picking a fighter, aiming for 2 to 3 kills, and then making up the difference with either AI ground targets or getting other assists. And your best bets: VG33 or the P63C5, or even the Hellcat, the F6F5. The other approach to get 2000 is to ground pound, and this should be only seen as a secondary approach if you're having a bad day, or if you're struggling to get that 2 to 3 kill quota in a realistic. Bring out a ground pounder, whether it's the AD4, the F4U7 with its rockets, or the F6F5N, which is my personal choice, and get a map which has a lot of light ground targets on, and just keep racking them up. Getting around, you know, 10 to 15 to 20 light ground targets will easily get you 2000 points, and since you don't have to win the battle while getting these 2000 points, you don't have to worry about enemy aircraft. You just have to worry about gaining the 2000. I know this method is a lot more selfish compared to the other method, and that's why I see it as like the secondary method if you're struggling with the first. But overall, this is the easier of the two methods. The only bit that is hard about it is you need to know on the aerialistic map that you're on where the light targets are, and also how to effectively shoot them and kill them without the enemy knowing where you are. And normally, once your name pops up in that bottom right, at least from my experience, if you pop up in the first 5 minutes of a battle, I know where you are, because I can just look at the map, I can see what's getting destroyed, I can then look down there, I can see if I see your, silhouette, and just go after you if there's nothing else going on. So you've got to make sure that you have a power 5 to 10 minutes where you can get that 2000 points, and then hopefully, you've got it by the time somebody finds you. So make sure that you analyze each map, make sure you pick the place on the map where you're least likely to see enemy fighters, and make sure to, go after the lighter targets. So yeah, I would say first method is, if for a skilled pilot, much better. Second method is much better if you're just grinding it out. It takes a little bit more nous, whereas the first method's more about reactions and timing. The second method is about reading the map and reading your enemy. So, two different methods, both are good. I would just say the first one's a little bit more fun at the end of the day. But then again, if you want to do the second method, it should only take you about 3 missions if you do it correctly. And you get a little bit lucky with the maps. The last one, of course, is the Italian decal, and this is the hardest one out of the bunch, and what you have to do is you have to win 3 missions and place in the team number 1. So, as I said before, one of the issues I've personally had with Italy is the fact that the ground game, I don't have many vehicles which have very high win rates, and the ones which I do are the P40s and the 105-25, and also stuff like the M15-42, 75-43, M63. Basically, what I see is if I do pretty well in a vehicle, I seem to, get a positive win rate in it. So something like a Centauro, though, goes against that, where I've only got a 46%, even though I'm positive in it. So I've basically hedged my bets here with this lineup. I'm picking the lineup which I know I can do well in, the P40 lineup at 3.3 with the P40, the M42 Contrario, and the 105-25, which is going down in BR to 3.0. You can easily replace this with the P40 GC Leoncello if you have that, but if not, you know, the 105-25 is a nice one to add in anyway. So you take this lineup up, you also bring out the C202 EC, and you basically just play your heart out. Since they've changed the way that the mechanic works when it comes to, you know, the amount of score that you get, so they balanced it between planes and tanks, now it does matter more what you do on the ground, so you shouldn't always go straight into a plane. But my general playstyle with this lineup, because what I would run it with, you know, this is the lineup you'd run if you don't have any premiums. If you do have the P40, you'd throw the P40 in there, and you would also bring the Contrario just to, you know, deal with the aircraft around, and then I would also throw in the Duck because, you know, I like the Duck, it's kind of fun. But yeah, so I would run this lineup if I had the premiums, and basically you punch first with the P40, you use the heat to try and go after stuff. If you realize that they have a lot of KVs or a lot of T-34s, then you get in a plane. If you have air dominance already, you get in a Duck and try and take out a lot of their heavy tanks. If you don't have air dominance, you get in a C202 EC and make sure to annihilate everything that's in the air. Use this for air dominance, take over the air, and once you are done with it, and you are number one and you're about to win, J out and get back into a tank. Now, if you don't like the air game or what's going on with it, you get in your P40, you do as well as you do, you get in another P40, you do as well as you do, AA to deal with the aircraft around. And remember, you've got to finish the battle in a ground vehicle to make sure it matters. But yeah, around this BR, this is my strongest for win rate when it comes down to it, and therefore I'm going to run it. I would run personally the one I feel most comfortable in is the 8.0 lineup or the 7.7 one, depending on what, you know, an individual feels comfortable in. The Centauro, the OF40, and the Sedan, that's a really good lineup on the ground, and also it can be supported by the F84G, which is right there. So you can easily get number one places with that. The problem is the win rate, so you could get a bunch of number ones, but not get it added to this. At the end of the day, it is only 3 wins, so if you can work really hard in, you know, 3 matches and also win them for your team, that will get this done really, really quickly. It's just, you know, it can be really annoying to do this one. But just remember, you have 20 days. These 3 here, you could pretty much knock out within a day. You could definitely do these 2 in a day, and then this one may take a few days just because, you know, it's just one of those elongated ones. So that could leave you 2 weeks to do this, right? So you could easily master the vehicles that you're using, even spade them out, and then make sure to get this decal. So there's plenty of time. Get these done real quick, because you can do them real quick, and then focus on Friuli, or however you say it, since that's going to be the tough one. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Reinman, Leonard Rudnick, Martinez, Matati, Moxie, Nick Graham, Alobrilo, Super Cacti, Elove Goats, and Seductive Trashcan for supporting the channel.